Greetings and salutations. Thank you for clicking on this video. Today we're going to talk about upgrading Linux Mint to Linux Mint 18. The in-place upgrade was just made available today, and so I'm going to attempt to actually do an in-place upgrade in this video. If you are currently running Linux Mint 17.3, you do have the option to do an in-place upgrade. It will not be necessary to completely reinstall the system. If you are able to do an upgrade, we'll talk more about that a little bit later on. I've been getting a lot of comments and people asking me about upgrading to Linux Mint 18, and I am pretty much telling everybody that is happy with Linux Mint 17.3 to stay where you are, because it is a big deal to move from Linux Mint 17.3 to Linux Mint 18. There are a lot of changes in the system. In the past, the upgrades from 17.1 to 17.2 to 17.3, they're trivial in-place upgrades, not a big deal. This is a big deal because Linux Mint 17.3 is based on Ubuntu 14.04, and you will be moving to a system that is based on Ubuntu 16.04, and there are big differences between those two systems. So have a reason to upgrade. I really like what Clem Lefebvre said here in his post. He said, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I completely agree. I currently am running two machines that are on Linux Mint 17.3, and I have several Easy Linux clients that are on 17.3, and my advice right now is to just hold on and stay where you are. There is really not a huge difference from a user point of view between Linux Mint 18 and Linux Mint 17.3. So unless you have a very specific reason for doing so, stay where you are. I am not going to actually attempt to do an in-place upgrade on any hardware, at least until Linux Mint 18.1 comes along. There are some issues in Ubuntu 16.04. In many ways, it was a very disappointing release. It looked very good in beta, and then 3 days after it was officially released, all sorts of problems showed up. And the Linux Mint folks have done a really good job of making sure that they've smoothed out those rough edges in Linux Mint, or rather in Ubuntu. But still, I found 18 to be just a little bit shaky, so therefore I'm staying with 17.3. I know there's a lot of folks on the web, and they get all hyped up, and they want to get the latest and greatest and all that stuff, but you kind of have to check yourself. I end up having to check myself a lot of times and say, okay, do I really need to move on? And in this case, I don't think so. If 17.3 is working for you, then just let it go, you know. He points out here that Linux Mint 13 is good until 2017. 17, 17.1, 17.2, and 17.3 are supported until 2019. And just to prove a point, this morning I went ahead and installed Linux Mint 13 in a virtual machine, and here it is running. And this is completely updated, and it's actually good to go. It will be supported until 2017, April of 2017, and it's based on Ubuntu 12.04 Precise. And I ran this system when it was first released, and it was pretty stable then. When I installed it this morning, I opened up the back port and upgraded everything in the system, and it's very functional, actually. I mean, I got the latest Firefox browser in this virtual machine, and I'll just show you that. So yeah, we're on Linux Mint, or rather Firefox 47, which is the latest version, got the latest Thunderbird. So it's up to date, and it's relatively secure. And I only did that just to prove a point. You can, especially in Linux Mint, as long as these systems are supported, you can use them, okay? So what we're going to do is go ahead and close the Linux Mint 13 machine here. By the way, if you try and install Linux Mint 13, you do have to kind of fool around with it a little bit to get it going. You have to open up the back ports. You have to disconnect some repositories. It gets a little weird. So let's go ahead and open up 17.3, and what I want to do is follow his instructions for an in-place upgrade, and let's see if we can get it to work. Now, I have not tried this before starting this video, so we're going to see if this is possible. I can tell you that not all of the software that you may have installed on Linux Mint 17.3 is going to automatically be reinstalled when you go to 18, especially anything that you downloaded in a deb file. So if you installed VirtualBox, Google Chrome, TeamViewer, Spotify client, stuff like that, you may have to go ahead and reinstall. So while that is getting itself loaded up, and it's going to take a second to get loaded there, let's switch back over here and read a little bit more about this upgrade. You might want to upgrade to Linux Mint 18 because some bug is fixed or because you want to use some of the new features. But be aware that this is a major upgrade. It's not a minor one, and you could lose some data. I like what he says here. He says upgrading blindly for the sake of running the latest version does not make much sense, especially if you're already happy and everything is working perfectly. And I completely agree. So if you come to the blog post, you can read more about it. He has a link here to the specific instructions, and I have them right here. So we're going to go ahead and follow these instructions. This was posted by Clem himself, the head developer of Linux Mint. So we'll see how this works. And we've got an introduction here, general considerations. Do you need to upgrade? He goes through that again. Did you try Linux Mint 18 on the machine first? That's a big deal. You may want to download the Linux Mint ISO, burn it to a DVD, or put it on a USB stick and actually boot the machine up off it. Play with it and make sure everything is working properly first. That's a good point. Make really good backups. Make sure that you have everything backed up, because if the upgrade doesn't work in place, you may have to reinstall. To upgrade Linux Mint 18, you need to satisfy the following requirements. Experience with apt and the command line. So if you're somebody who is not used to working in a terminal and not used to issuing apt commands to install software, you might not want to do this. You might want to stay where you are, or do a complete reinstallation, one of the two. Linux Mint 17.3 or Mate Edition is what you can upgrade from. If you are currently running Linux Mint 17, 17.1, or 17.2, you're going to have to go ahead and upgrade to 17.3 and then do this upgrade. And you can do that by going into the Update Manager, and there should be in the menu somewhere the option to upgrade to another dot release. So if you're like on 17.2 right now, you would have to go ahead and do 17.3. Okay, so how to upgrade. Number one, you need to update your Linux Mint 17.3 system. So let's do that. And I have this one set to open up a terminal. So let's do the updates. And it's going out and checking for updates. I do not know whether this is going to allow me to upgrade in a virtual machine, but we're going to find out together. We will find out together. All right, let's see if we got some packages. We got a couple of packages to upgrade, so we'll go ahead and do that. And while that is upgrading, let's go over here and look at our instructions and see what the next thing. Give your terminal unlimited scrolling. It says go to Edit, Profile Preferences, Scrolling, check the unlimited option, and click OK. Whoop, wrong desktop. This one. Okay, so I guess we can wait. We'll wait until this finishes to do that. And yes, if there's anything in here that's going to take a significant amount of time, I will pause the video. I'm not going to make you sit here and watch it download an entire operating system, which is basically what it's going to do if it'll do the upgrade. So This is taking its own sweet time to do this. Trying to remember the last time that I actually updated this particular virtual machine. I guess it was about a week ago or so, so seems to be a few updates for it to deal with. I guess we can change the unlimited scrolling while that's doing that. Okay, so got edit. Go to edit. Go, I guess, profile preferences. There we go. Scrolling. Unlimited. Close. Okay, we're ready to go. Now I've installed all those updates. So what's the next thing I got to do, Clem? Next we have to install the upgrade tool, so that's sudo apt install mint upgrade. That's easily done. So let's go ahead and click here. Okay, please install. Okay, we've installed Mint Upgrade. What do we do next? Check the upgrade. To simulate an upgrade, open a terminal and type Mint Upgrade check. Yes, continue. Now this does not make any changes to the system, what we're doing right now. What this does is it just compares what's currently installed on the system to what will be installed on the system. So we're not actually changing the system at this point, we're just checking to see if we can actually do an upgrade. Apt is now going to calculate the package changes necessary. Yes, I'd like to continue. Let's see what this does. And no, well, actually, you do have to type the Y because the Y isn't capitalized. If it was a capital Y there, then you could just hit enter. Let's see what we got here. Yes, let's go ahead and do it. Oop. Well, okay, so this is just a check mode. Duh, dummy. Alright, so it seems like that it will actually work. So let's go ahead and see what we do to actually do the upgrade. So let's go ahead and switch over here. Okay, looks like it'll actually do it. Download the package upgrades. To download the packages necessary to upgrade the Linux Mint 18, type the following command: mint upgrade downloads. Let's go ahead and do that. It seemed to got what it needed. All right. I'm assuming that this download will take some time, so if this looks like it's something that is going to be crunching along for a while, we'll go ahead and pause the video, but I want to see here what it's doing. Right now it seems to be looking at the repositories and doing something along those lines. Alright, so it's going to download all the packages it needs for Sarah. Yes. Calculating upgrade. Okay, so this is quite a lot to download, so I'm going to pause and I'll come back when it stops and it does something new that we need to talk about. Okay, well that took a little while to download all that stuff, and down here it says that the download was complete and in download only mode. So let's see what the next thing that we need to do is. We need to apply the upgrades, and it says here that this is an unreversible step. So now is the time to make sure that you have all your backups and that you are ready with some reinstallation media in case the upgrade goes bad and your system turns into a brick. Okay, we're going to find out how well this works. So it says just type in mint upgrade upgrade. Okay, we can do that. Let's do it. Okay. I'm sure that once this gets started, it's going to take quite some time, so we'll pause the video yet again, and we'll come back when it's done doing whatever it's doing, but let's wait and see what we get here. Apt will now download the package updates necessary for the upgrade to Linux. Well, we just did that. I'm imagining that it will just say that it already has the stuff. Yes, I would like to continue. Yes, continue. Don't have to type Y there because we got a capital Y. And I'm assuming that this is the actual upgrade that's going to be in process here. And this is probably going to take longer than it took to download the stuff, simply because it has to reinstall all of this, pretty much the entire operating system. And we are not doing this on an SSD. This is a standard spinning drive that this virtual machine is on in this machine. So I'm imagining that this is probably going to take quite some time for it to do its thing. Yep. So what we're going to do is go ahead and pause the video once again, and then we will come back when it's done and see what it looks like when we reboot the system. Well, that did take quite some time, and now we have configured the entire upgrade. At about 2 or 3 minutes into the process, a screen came up and asked me whether the upgrade utility could restart services without asking. I told it yes. It went off and installed a whole lot of software, and then it got down toward the end. It asked for my administrator password, and then it asked me whether I was going to allow it to install some new software. So I had to go ahead and click enter, or press enter to go ahead and choose the default answer, which was yes. So I'm assuming that just follow the bouncing ball and say yes to everything, and this should work. So this is done upgrading. This is where it dumped it out. Got done. I'm going to restart the system, and we're going to see what happens. And I'm going to do it from a terminal. And it's blinking at me. See what it does here. It's not. Oh, okay. So it just took it a little while to get itself together. I was about ready to go ahead and force it to shut down, but this is the first boot after the big in-place upgrade. And we'll see what we come up with here. So with all of the prompts that I had to look at and give an answer to during that upgrade process, it is not completely automatic. It's not like you just start it and walk away, so you will need to pay it some attention. It does take quite some time for that upgrade to execute. In my case, I'm running this in a virtual machine, and I am doing it on a spinning hard drive. So it took it a while to unpack and compile and reinstall all of those packages. Essentially, it just reinstalled the entire operating system in place. And it's crunching along here. Hopefully we will see the Cinnamon desktop very shortly. And we'll see what we come up with. Now, I'm not going to be able to tell you anything about post-upgrade stability, or whether there are any bugs left behind in the system, or whether there's anything left over from the upgrade process that you wouldn't get with a clean install. But so far, so good. And it remembered all of my settings. It has my theme here, and seems to have done that. Let's see what kernel we're running. Well, let's turn the caps lock off. Why don't we? I don't know how that got turned on. See what the running kernel is. So it did not upgrade my kernel. Linux Mint 18 ships with like 4.4-021 or something like that. And this one is 4.2.0.38, which is the one that I had installed manually when I set up this machine. It says it wants updates. So let's go ahead and run the update manager and see what that does. We just upgraded the entire system. I'm going to choose the second option here. Let's go ahead and full screen this. Okay. Let's check our mirrors. Okay. So we're going to have to redo the mirrors here. Go ahead and put that on James Madison University. Apply. And this one is for Ubuntu. Okay, that's the one that I have been using lately. I think that's a mirror at a college in Vermont, but I don't know which one. Okay, so that's set up. We'll update the cache. Everything seems to be working the way it's supposed to so far. Okay. And we will install the updates. We just upgraded the entire system. It's asking for updates. I'm assuming that it's doing that well. That was kind of weird. I went to drag that over a little bit, drug it over too far. That window appeared over there. That was me, gang. That's not the system acting up, by the way. Okay. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and let it upgrade the Linux kernel. And the one that it wants to be on is 4.4.0-31.50. So I guess that's where we are with the latest kernel. It's going to go download that kernel. And that way we can get up to date on the kernel. Now, Linux Mint 17.3, you can go ahead and manually upgrade the kernel to whatever you want to. I've gone ahead and left it at 4.2 just to make sure that there wasn't any incompatibilities with the system. And it seems to work quite well, so I'm not, terribly anxious to upgrade to a later kernel at this point. Maybe somewhere down the road I might do that for as long as I retain Linux Mint 17.3 on my hardware. But Linux Mint 18 now gives you the option, if you choose that intermediate security level on the updates, to manually tell it, okay, go ahead and upgrade the kernel, which I really kind of like, and wish that that could be backported to Linux Mint 17.3, but that's okay. I don't mind managing the kernel manually. So we're getting ready to wrap up this video, I suppose, because the upgrades seem to work and everything is here, and it looks pretty much like it did when it was on Linux Mint 17.3. And I just want to say before I wrap up the video that if you're going to do this, you do it at your own risk. And you need to make sure that you have all of your data completely backed up before you start this process. If anything goes wrong during that upgrade, it could very well completely brick the system. Also, like we talked about in the beginning of the video, if Linux Mint 17.3 is working for you and you are happy with it, I really do not see a huge need to go ahead and upgrade. Now, if you just want to be on the cutting edge and you want the latest and greatest and you don't care if there's a couple of bugs or inconsistencies here, then be my guest, go right ahead. But do understand that it may not work exactly the way you think it's going to. An upgrade, or rather an update, is not always an upgrade. And as I stated in the early part of the video, I plan on waiting a while before considering moving any hardware off of Linux Mint 17.3 and moving on to 18, whether that be using the in-place upgrade tool we looked at in this video, or whether it be reinstalling from Linux Mint 18, just doing a clean install. Past experience with most operating systems tells me that a clean reinstall is usually a better way to go, and you come up with a cleaner, more stable system. Something to keep in mind, but if you want to attempt to do the in-place upgrade, you can give that a shot as well and see what that does. If it doesn't work, you can always just reinstall the system anyway. So it's whatever works best for you, and it's a more convenient way to go. So that's something else to keep in mind. And, have fun with it. Seems to have worked out quite well moving from Linux Mint 17.3 to Linux Mint 18. And as time rolls on here in later videos, I'll probably give you guys an update and tell you how this worked. And lost my background there when I changed screen size. Let me do that again just to see what the deal is. Oh, okay. That will probably fix itself once it gets rebooted, since it's currently in the process of recompiling the kernel there. That's probably why it did that. But those sorts of things are to be expected in a virtual machine anyway. Alright, gang. Well, thank you very much for watching the video. To find out more about how to do this, check out linuxmint.com. That is where all of the instructions are. And if you need to re-download installation media for whatever reason, remember that to get versions before the current version of Linux Mint, just go to all versions here. And it's taking it a second to load, and then you can download all of the currently supported versions of Linux Mint. I really don't recommend installing Linux Mint 13 on anything. I did that just because I wanted to prove the point that it would actually still work. So go for 17.3 or the current one, which is Linux Mint 18. Be sure to give Easy Linux a like on Facebook. Check it out there. Also, check out easylinux.com for information about how I can help you get started with Linux. And check out freedompenguin.com for lots of great articles about Linux. I haven't contributed anything there in quite a while, but there's always something very interesting to read. And if you pay attention to the Facebook page, the Easy Linux Facebook page, a lot of times I will share articles from Freedom Penguin there, but it's very much recommended to go to that site and actually scroll through the articles and see if there's anything there that catches your eye. So we'll do this again soon. Look forward to your comments, and thank you for watching.